All right, everybody. Welcome to Rambling on Jedi Ethics. Um, it's funny. I've been looking to make a kind of video on Jedi Ethics, but I want to kind of do it in conjunction with kind of the Academy training program that I'm working on. So I kind of wanted to go with that. But I haven't done so really. I haven't really touched on it. And I find that kind of a problem, right? Because my stance is it doesn't go without saying. And I was recently reminded of that in a topic. Someone brought up, it was discussing kind of like the Jedi mind trick and stuff like that. And someone brought up, well, we see Obi-Wan Kenobi use it more than once, in the movies. We see Qui-Gon Jinn use it. We've seen Rey use it. So it's a question of, so people just take it as a Jedi technique. And I was like, no, there's ethics that go along with that, and we need to discuss those ethics. And the response was, no, we don't, because we're Jedi. Not in the essence of, oh, that's fake and this is real, but in the essence of we're Jedi, so what we do automatically falls into the right category. And if you need to talk about ethics, then you're the one that's morally lacking. And I was blown away by that. That basically, because I was looking for lessons on ethics, I was being called unethical. That I didn't have a moral backing because I felt that Jedi should discuss the ethics of the issue. Pretty entertaining. Their stance was, it goes without saying, if you're a Jedi, you're ethical, end of story. Of course, it doesn't really work that way now, does it? When you're looking at Jedi ethics, and it's a murky subject. Ethics in general is a murky subject, right? Because even the philosophical community has all these different schools of thought on ethics, right? No matter if you're like, oh, well, I adhere to normative ethics, right? That still gets broken down. And then even in those breakdowns, there's breakdowns of those. Like there's utilitarianism, but then there's rule utilitarianism, right? So and then that utilitarianism is a school of thought that fits into consequentialism, and yeah. So you have different, and then you have ethics of care, which kind of like bushes all that, like no, you got it all wrong. So I mean, like, ethics is really, it's been going on for centuries, right? Like the discussion has been going on for quite some time. Jedi are not going to solve that anytime soon. However, Jedi can resolve how they approach ethics. They can understand where their own ethical boundaries lie within the path. And this, and again, this is brought up out of a discussion of the Jedi mind trick, but if you take that aside, and then you're still talking about ethics, so you can still apply that into everyday life. I doubt you're going around mind tricking people all the time. And if you could, you probably shouldn't. Free will. Subverting a person's free will, dominating their mind, that's not an ethical thing. In the context of sorry, there's something in my hand. I took the dog out for a hike. Bad call, and yeah. So I got kind of messed up there, splinters and such. Anyways, back to it. So even in the context of Obi-Wan Kenobi or whatever, right? So you have Obi-Wan Kenobi. These are not the droids you're looking for. Very famous line. Most Star Wars fans know that one by heart. So what? And I still call the technique unethical, but the determination or the other option is to basically fight a garrison of stormtroopers within a city. Could they win? Possibly. Obi-Wan Kenobi seems a little out of the combat, like that's no longer his thing. But yeah, I think given the scum and villainy that resides within Mos Eisley, and it would basically be like starting a bar fight, and things would pile over, but then you'd still need to find a ship in that mess, and then you would have to, and so when you're transporting plans for a planet-killing, and basically hoping to find a weakness in a planet-killing device, which basically the fate of the galaxy depends upon, and you're faced with stormtroopers, yeah, you choose the lesser of the two evils there. You choose the mind trick. You get out of it without fighting, and you move upon your merry way, and that's that. Pretty easy. And yes, mind trick, certainly, again, unethical. But if you find yourself chained to a chair, being tortured with no other means of escape, then yes, certainly it becomes a very viable option. But I mean, you still have to recognize it for what it is. It's no different than, ethically speaking, it's no different than lightsabering someone. You're killing a fool, right? When you chop down a stormtrooper, that's still not good. That's still bad. But what are the alternatives, right? So you're kind of choosing the lesser of the two evils, and you're going with basically a utilitarian type view by saying you have to do this in order to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people, right? Greatest good for the greatest number trumps whatever your actions might have to be. Now, there's a flaw in that, right? Because it's saying the ends justify the means. That is not within Jedi thought. That is not in our thing. Even officially, it's not supposed to be, right? When you look at like the role-playing guides and things like that, it's not there. In fact, they more role-playing guides and such will associate the ends justifying the means as Sith thought. That's what they're going with, right? Sith thought. And so we know that Jedi are held accountable for their actions. We don't get to just do whatever we want and then say, well, it all worked out in the end. Or we did what we had to for the greatest good. Righteousness wins the day, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't work. That's not how our path is. So what is the Jedi path? Where do we fall within ethics? Like, how do we judge that? I like to go with a little technique, a little thing like to sum it up quickly, like a little reminder, which is called the Jedi method. It's Jedi intention plus Jedi action equals Jedi outcome. Jedi intention, definitely utilitarian in that sense, right? It's definitely the greatest, doing the greatest good for the greatest numbers is where most Jedi fall. They always want to do, like any Jedi you talk to, they want to help people. They want to have a positive impact. They want to make the world a better place. Like all these really nice sentiments and things that they want to do. And it's in the intention. Now, if you want a more concrete definition of intention, you can look at the 5 goals of the Jedi, and you see things like render aid, provide support, and defend those in need. These are intentions. These are things Jedi want to do. So you have Jedi intention, and then you have Jedi action. Well, what constitutes Jedi action? For us, we have that, again, you can break it down. You can look at the Jedi circle. You can look at the Jedi code. You can look at things like the Jedi compass or like whatever Jedi text or all the Jedi texts, right? You look at these things, the Jedi precepts, right? And they're defined. They're pretty well defined in that, and they're pretty much show you what Jedi action constitutes. You have patience. You have understanding, objectivity. You have diplomacy, awareness, self-discipline, like these things that you do. And then that they have to fall within like the Jedi rules of behaviors, another great one that outlines Jedi action, because it helps do do your actions fall within this guideline? Yes, Jedi action. No, probably not Jedi action. I have to dig into that, right? So Jedi actions is defined for Jedi. It's a little bit more murky. It's a little bit cloudy, or not as easy to follow. Like if you're new to the Jedi, like you just started out, or you're just curious about it and you don't know much about it, then Jedi action is gonna be a little bit more cloudy for you. But the more you study and the more you read on it and go through like training programs or whatever, it becomes really clearly defined. As I've said, Jedi is a box, right? You have to work within the box of Jedi. It's a big box. It has many ways to be done. There's a plethora of ways to adhere to the core of the Jedi way, but you still have to adhere to that core. So that's Jedi action, right? So we have that, and when you put those together, you're most likely going to come to the Jedi outcome. And I say most likely because it can be hard to feel that right. You are going to come to the Jedi outcome, but that's not always going to feel like the best. It doesn't always lead to the immediate satisfactory positive result. Sometimes you have to do things and make tough decisions, and it means that there's going to be some time before that works out to the positive impact you were looking for and your intentions were for. So that's my reminder. Jedi intentions plus Jedi action leads to Jedi outcome. Now, when looking at this, so Jedi intention, we said, is utilitarianism, basically, if we're just going to sum it up and kind of neatly put it in a bow, because that's often been described as the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Jedi action, if we're going to tie it into ethics, schools of thoughts and ethics, would be denological ethics. I can never say that one properly. Denological ethics, I believe, and which is basically adherence to moral conduct is judged by adherence to rules or adherence to duty, right? So adhering to the Jedi rules of behavior would determine your actions to be ethically proper. Is kind of what Jedi action would be tied to. Jedi outcome. Now, I kind of go a different route with Jedi outcome, and I kind of actually tie that into ethics of care, just because I think that's ultimately where Jedi are going with their outcomes. Like they want to have a focus on response and how you approach things. And how you approach the outcome really matters, how you approach, because as I said, in tough decisions, that outcome can be tough, and it's not always a happy, go lucky outcome, So how you approach that, how you respond to it, it has an idea towards empathy and things of that nature. It is about being responsive and addressing the people involved, and really addressing them as the individuals they are, right? Like each person's different, and kind of acknowledging that and understanding that there's not one thing is going to work for everybody. So I feel like ethics of care really kind of like ties into the Jedi outcome. Again, if we're tying schools of thought to this. To Jedi ethics. Overall, though, when you look at it and you break it down, overall, I look at it as rule utilitarianism, right? I think that best sums up our ethics altogether, as in an overall path and how we live. I think that fits the best. Who knows? I may change my time. I may change my mind in time, but I feel that given everything, especially at least with the Jedi method, I think really falls into that. As I say, you're kind of combining utilitarianism with denological ethics and ethics of care, and rule utilitarianism kind of goes in there and kind of wraps that up. So ethics don't go without saying. You need to explore them as a Jedi. You need to know your ethics. Where do you fall? Where do you see it? You need to understand what Jedi action constitutes and how you view that ethic. Do you view that ethically? What options are open to you? This plays out when you look at just like little things. If you're dealing with like a bully at school or work, quick resolution, punch them in the nose. But is that the ethically proper thing to do? Is that the Jedi thing to do? Does that fall within Jedi ethics? If you're hungry, do you steal from the store to satisfy that hunger? If you have no money, what do you do with that? Like, what are your ethical options? Where does the line get drawn at one point? As we said, as the original example, we'll bring it back to the Jedi mind trick. Obi-Wan Kenobi uses the mind trick. Well, let's use a different one. Let's go with Qui-Gon Jinn, Episode 1, because it's a more gray kind of situation. They're being held by the Gungans in an underwater city, and they need to get to Naboo, and they need to warn of a army invasion because that's bad juju, right? And so the Jedi are worried about loss of life and loss of freedom and war, and it's all bad. So within that, Qui-Gon Jinn tries to reason his way out and say what's going on. That's not working. And so facing possible imprisonment and or fighting to get free and to leave that place by force, Qui-Gon opts to use the Jedi mind trick on the leader to just be let go without any trouble, without any problems, and so they can complete their mission, and they don't have to threaten people. They don't have to lightsaber people up. They don't have to fight their way out of it. They don't rot in a jail cell. They, and allow, an invading army to do its thing. And so they do what they feel is necessary, right? But you're using something that's unethical, but you're using it within the situation that all your other alternatives are worse. So that becomes the Jedi action to take. It is a tool within your toolbox, just like fighting is, right? Like you look at like martial arts, things like that. They don't teach you. You don't go to a martial arts school and they teach you, okay, if you come across and just punch it in the face, right? Like they want you to understand to use these things ethically. They want you to use them only in dire circumstances. It's the same thing with Jedi when we teach self-defense or even even when we teach lightsaber forms, because it's fun. Still, you're not going to go out and just start whacking people with lightsabers, like when you're teaching something that can hurt someone else, you teach the ethics involved with it as well. The proper use, when is the right time to use it, when is not the right time. And Jedi, and as I said, Jedi have this whole kind of guideline and this core that we see in all our texts, which break down Jedi intention, they break down Jedi action, they help guide on when is a good time to use it, when it's not, and decision making. There's a lot of decision making tools in there. When you think of even just quotes from Star Wars, right? How do I know? How will I know? Right? How will I know? When calm, peace, passive, you will know. It's there, like the decision making and the ethics. It's there, but it doesn't go without saying. And this is why we do have training programs, and this is why we do have people. But yes, if you see a quote unquote Jedi master who has supposedly been around for years being like, I see nothing wrong with subverting the will of a fellow human being to get what I want. You can use it innocently enough. You can innocently dominate the minds of another to accomplish your goals. Then you might want to run the other way. That might not be a place you want to train at. That might not be a person you want to associate with. They've obviously got some very morally questionable viewpoints on what's innocent. And certainly I wouldn't want to subjugate myself to a person who seems way okay with like changing my mind at their discretion. Right? Again, not that it's, you know, not that I have to worry, not that you have to worry about it, not that I have to worry about it, but, you know, remember the Jedi mind trick only works on the weak-willed. You know, it's only the weak-minded that it can affect. But in all seriousness, in practical application, right? You still don't want someone who's going to teach you self-defense and teach you self-empowerment and those kind of techniques and build you up without giving you a guideline, without giving you like ethical cores to go along with it. You may not need it. You may have your ethics down. You may be like I don't know, maybe you took philosophy and you basically majored in ethics, right? Like, who knows? Like, maybe that's like your thing and that's your field. And that's what you study. Your whole bookshelf, you have like just books on ethical thought. But that doesn't mean it should go without saying, right? Like, and that doesn't mean a Jedi shouldn't bring it up, and that doesn't mean it shouldn't be with every lesson. It should be there. It doesn't go without saying. You can be the smartest and most ethical person alive, and still, and if you are, then I'm sure you would agree that ethics should still be brought up and discussed. It might get tedious after a while. You might roll your eyes like, yeah, I know, but still, the lesson should be included. It should never just go without saying. Never go without saying. That's silly. But yeah, so that's my rambling on ethics, because I saw something silly that basically said ethics. Yeah, Jedi don't need those. We already got them. Like, we're born ethical or something. I don't know. That's a debate for another time, right? Like, are ethics, are you born with an innate sense of right and wrong? Discuss, right? Like, not in my comment. Discuss in my comment. Don't do that. Don't stop. Go take it to a Jedi board or a philosophical community. Go argue somewhere where it's better to argue. But yeah, so that's my rambling. I'm done. Go have fun. Be ethical. Follow, follow the Jedi guidelines, okay? And follow the Jedi method, right? If you have a question on what to do as a Jedi within a situation, Jedi intention plus Jedi action, and then evaluate to make sure that you got the Jedi outcome, and then work. Experience, explore it. You'll get there. And then keep up your training too. Plenty of places to do it. So jump in, enjoy it, love your ethics, and all right, I am done. I'm done. Go be a Jedi.